Was this what I had imagined? Up late, sorting beetles and pupa and mealworms. I mean, it's pretty cool, and hey, these guys aren't that bad. But what's that? Is that mealworm poop? Ugh. Ugh. Hey guys, so it has been 30 days since we started raising mealworms to produce some extra food for our chickens. Has it been everything we hoped it would be? Let's talk about that. So 30 days ago, we got 5,000 mealworms and 1,000 beetles from an eBay seller. And today we want to show you an update of how they're doing, how they're growing, how much food are we able to give our chickens, how much does it cost, and what happens? What are the stages to reproducing more mealworms? So let's talk about the stages. We've got the mealworms themselves, and these are called larvae, and this is ultimately what will feed our chickens. So initially we had 5,000 mealworms, but we wanted those to turn into beetles so that we could produce way more mealworms. The mealworms stay in the mealworm state, the larva state, for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then they start to turn into this pupa. At this state, they have no head, they have no way to really do anything. They can just wiggle around, and at this point they're just preparing to become beetles. And they stay in this state for a couple weeks as well. After the pupa stage, they start to hatch out as beetles. This one right here is starting to come out of its outer shell, and you can see at any point it will get rid of that whole cocoon-like body that it was inside of. And lastly, after they fully come out, do you want to hold the beetles? No?
Oh, they're always falling.
I'm dropping a few. And so after the pupa stage, they turn into the beetles. They are now darkling beetles, they're adults, and after a couple weeks like this, they'll start to breed, and then they'll start to lay eggs that will turn into the mealworms. They like to hide under the egg carton that I put in their box, and that's where they'll do their breeding, their eating, and so they're trying to get down into the dark. And at this stage, at the beetle stage, hopefully they'll live for about 3 months, and they'll lay, oh, what's going on my shirt? And hopefully they'll lay a couple hundred eggs that will produce tons of mealworms per beetle. So the next question is, what have we produced so far? It's been a month, and what do we have to show for it? So we initially started with 2 sets of these trays, these self-separating boxes. We've got a top box and a bottom part. In the top, we have our beetles, and in the bottom, we typically keep the mealworms, but in this one, the mealworms have all turned to the pupa, so these are all going to start hatching out as beetles. So last night we needed to separate out all of the pupa from the mealworms and get them into their own tray so that they could hatch out and not worry about being eaten by the mealworms. We needed to get the beetles, any beetles that had hatched, moved over into the beetle tray, and that way they wouldn't be eating any of the mealworms. So we were maxed out with our mealworms, with our pupa, with our beetles, where they were at, and we had no way of telling when new mealworms were born. So we built 2 more sets of the self-separating containers. Now it's a month later, and what do we have to show for it? We have tons of beetles. Almost all of the mealworms have turned into at least pupa, and most of those had now hatched out as beetles. So that means we have nearly 5,000 beetles, and we have very few mealworms because it takes a couple weeks until the beetles will start laying eggs, and then from there it'll take a few weeks until they hatch out as mealworms. So we're probably within a week or 2 weeks of getting a ton of mealworms. We'll have some being able to reproduce and be sustainable and creating more mealworms, and then we'll be able to take a bunch of these extras and give them to the chickens. But we have so many beetles that these mealworms, I am totally cool with giving these to the chickens today. So we are gonna go out and feed them to the chickens here in a minute. right, we're out here with the chickens. We're gonna start with the bantam flock, give them a few. Go ahead, grab a couple. You're not throwing them now. We're gonna let them come eat them out of our hands. Hopefully we can get the peacock and the peahen to come up and eat from our hands. Let me throw a couple, and so they can see what it is, okay?
Okay.
Put it down on the ground. Put a couple down on the ground. Well, we couldn't get the peacock to eat, but he doesn't trust us enough right now to eat out of our hand. I know. Can you hand it in your hand?
Yep.
Hold it in your hand. Hold it in your hand. Don't drop it. Good job, buddy.
You want to try one?
Yeah.
Worm?
Oh, you want me to eat it?
Yeah!
I don't know. I don't want to eat it. You want to try it?
No!
Hmm.
I was going to eat it.
You want to try it?
Yeah.
Here.
Fall down.
All right, let's try this mealworm. You ready? Here, it's
Yeah.
it's right here. It's right here. All right, I gotta try it too then.
It tastes bad.
It's a little sour. Oh, you didn't like it? Hey, I swallowed mine. Hey, you got me. Oh, I regret that one. Don't quit wasting them. Quit wasting them. You keep just chewing them and spitting them out. All right, let's go feed the bigger birds. Let's see if the turkeys or ducks want them.
At first I didn't think about it. At first I thought whatever, yeah. At first
Hey, Balrock. Here, Balrock. Here, Balrock. No! Balrock!
So close.
Here, chicky. Here, chicky. Here, chicky. Yes!
turned out
Good
to
job.
be so different. Yeah, you turned out to be nothing like them. I changed my mind and got behind it.
Hey, eat my hand!
Yeah, that's right. All right, the ducks don't trust us, so we're just gonna throw a few to them. They seem to like it when we throw it to them.
Breath away. Pick me up like you're my aeroplane. You and me, you know we'll never fail.
All right, well, we're gonna come in here and try to feed the I Am Chimani chicks so they can get the mealworm experience too. Let's see what they think. All right, Eli says he wants to try one too. Let's go ahead, buddy.
I will chew you too.
Is it really in your mouth? Let me see. Oh my gosh, it is. Chew it up. Chew it up. It's a lot easier if you just chew it. Did you swallow it? Good job. What did you think?
Good.
Okay. The I Am Chimani chicks are about 2 weeks old now.
Yeah.
We don't hold them too often. They're definitely wanting their mamas right now.
Ignore the warnings. I'll let you take my breath away. Pick me up like you're my aeroplane. You and me, you know we'll never.
Oh man, once they figured out about those mealworms, they were pretty excited about it. It was pretty fun to watch them run around, grabbing those mealworms and gobbling them down. But the last thing I wanted to talk about is cost. Is it worth it? A lot of you guys had asked if it was worth the effort to grow and create these mealworms. We started out with the 2 sets of containers and we bought an initial batch of mealworms that did not work for us. And we spent about 50 bucks on that. So then we spent the $70 on eBay to get 5,000 mealworms and 1,000 beetles. And lastly, we built 2 more sets of containers, which about another 40. And then every week we've got to feed them. One, we give them wheat bran, which basically from our feed store is about $15 for a 50-pound bag. And then we have to give them something to get hydration. So we give them carrots, we can give them apples, we can give them potatoes, we can give them food scraps. Some of you guys had warned us that apples or anything that's really damp might mold more quickly and it would attract flies and things like that. And that was totally the case. The apples all got really soggy. They all molded, they got really gross, and so I really liked putting carrots in there. They just don't get as bad. Carrots and potatoes have worked out really well with these mealworms. So it's probably $1 or $2 a week that we spend on food that we give the mealworms. So it's pretty cool that we're growing our own food that we can feed our chickens, because our goal with this all is to supplement our feed grow as much food as possible for us and for our chickens so that we're not having to buy as much food. Of course, we love our feed store. We've shown that in our videos before. Whenever somebody else is in control of who feeds our animals, then we don't know what's going into it. So we really love the fact that we can grow and raise our own food for our animals.
Yeah,
making for dinner?
Chicken fried rice.
Does that look good?
Yes, I want you to eat it.
All right, so we will see you guys next time. If you have any questions about how we raise our mealworms, let us know down in the comments. But it has been very rewarding. We really are having fun with it, and we hope you'll try it as well. So we will see you guys next time.
Bye. Love you.
Welcome